Gorgeous souls, we are here on another episode of Heart and Soul with lovely Janet, and today we are talking about introverts. So just as a reminder, introverts are lovely, gorgeous, social people, just like extroverts. They just need time in solitude, nature, to recharge. Sometimes it can be really draining for them to be among people, but they love people, they love socializing, and they are out there just for a shorter span of time. So I know I'm an introvert, and I've been miscalled, like maybe even arrogant or a loner, or again, like something is wrong with you. Why don't you like to be among people? And of course, for the longest time, I had no idea why I was not like my sisters or family, because growing up as an introvert in an extroverted world can be quite difficult. Was it similar for you, Janet?
Absolutely, Caroline. I agree. I am an introvert. Although I think when I was a lot younger, everyone would have said I was an extrovert. But I will talk more about why that happened and what I was doing to cope. But absolutely, it is something, and I totally agree with you. I love people. I find it so interesting. I love sitting at a cafe and watching people go by. I love being in groups with like-minded people, like-minded souls, hearts and souls. But I struggle being in unfamiliar big groups. And there has been times in the past where I've had to attend receptions or functions, and I have to say, it's that social anxiety it brings out as well, because you're being put into a scenario where you don't know people, you feel uncomfortable. You know, it, I think as an introvert as well, I like to sort of know what's going on. We overthink. I think in introverts, we are big thinkers. We have a lot going on in here. And in scenarios like that, where I don't know what's going to happen or who the people are, or what I'm going to talk about, I find that really, really difficult. What about you, Caroline? Have you ever been in that sort of situation?
Oh, yes, I had. As a wife, I needed to attend Christmas parties, and that was especially hard because I didn't know anybody. And it was sort of that really fictional thing, it was sort of like you had to dress up, you had to play nice, you had to be someone you're not, because there it was not heart to heart or soul to soul. It was just a business gathering. And for me, I also know that sort of I have about 2 hours. That's sort of my time frame. I love to be with people or in groups, and even meeting new people or a lot of people I don't know in a setting. But sort of after 2 hours, I realize I'm getting tired, I am drained, and then it's a time to leave. And then I need solitude, peace and quiet, be out in nature. And it can be really with wonderful, lovely friends, but I have sort of like a time limit. It's okay. I love to meet you. And after 2 hours, I am done. It's not against that person, but it's just like, then I need to look for me. And for me, I think introverts and especially empaths are connected within. We are so connected within. And of course, we always second guess ourselves, or we are just connected within. And when we socialize and are out there, we are out there. So after 2 hours, I need to take that in breath and really connect within with no noise. outside. And I think that's the hardest part, especially as an empath. We don't want to hurt anybody or hurt someone's feelings, but here self-preservation is key, and being more assertive and upfront, saying, you know what, it's lovely to meet you for 2-3 hours, then I need to go back, or then I need solitude. And I also learned that as introverts, we don't have 2,000 friends, like maybe extroverts that thrive and they recharge being among people, and they constantly need that outside stimulation. But we have a select few friends. What about you, Janet?
Absolutely. I'm exactly the same. I mean, I remember in my 20s, I was moved to London. So it was all new. And as introverts, I mean, that whole step of starting something new and walking into a new place unknown is very, very difficult. And over the years, when I look at moving to different countries all the time as an introvert, that is very challenging. You've done that as well, Caroline, so you understand. And I have to say is I actually became very good at, I call it masking. Because people going back then in my 20s, particularly when I lived in Paris, we used to go out, we used to party, there was always something going on, or a reception we had to go to or whatever. And people would have said I was an extrovert. But I'd really learned to mask. And I would put on this mask of like being sociable and being out there and being like everyone else, because I wanted to fit in. And as part of that coping mechanism, I'm not proud of it, I had to use alcohol to kind of fuel that, to kind of give me that Dutch courage, that and then, to be then fun and, being able to party to like 3 a.m, when all I wanted to do was just go home and be in my own space. And it was only very, very close friends that had sort of 2 very close friends there who knew then that if I would be night party the next day, don't even contact me. I am locking myself away because I couldn't cope. And I have to say, looking back now, I realize now, because I didn't know what an introvert was then, or an empath was then. And if I'd known that, then I'd go, oh, okay, this is just me. Because I did actually wonder if I'm a bit odd and a bit weird, because everybody else seemed to thrive on it. And I really struggled with it. And I did feel totally drained and needed that space to recuperate, to recharge, as you said, recharge. But now I know that, I mean, I find different ways to cope. Like you say, your time frame. I mean, I've had to speak to my husband, who's also a bit of an introvert, so it's actually fine. We have, boundaries about certain things that if we're going out to him, I might say to him in advance, look, if I'm not comfortable, if I say to you, can we go? Will you, we go. So we now have that, and he'll do the same for me if we're out at something he's not comfortable and he said, do you mind if we go? And normally that's okay. So having that sort of boundary and understanding, because my in-laws are very extroverts, love partying, love all of that. And as much as I love being in a family get together, it does reach the point where I just feel exhausted. I do get tired and I just want to leave. And I think now that I know that now we can respect that, and my husband's the same. So, it works. It'd be different if he was an extrovert and I'm the introvert and then trying to get him to leave. But luckily we're on the same page with that. So that's good. That's good.
Yeah, and that's important, especially with family, I mean, I had my sister come over and we chatted, and then we went for a dog walk, and afterwards I thought, okay, she goes home now, and she said, oh, let's hang out a little bit more. And I go, no. Because I think also as an introvert, probably as an empath, my home is my sanctuary. And
Yes.
as much as I love get together with my family, it's sort of, yeah, for a certain amount of time, it's good. We can do that every week. We don't have to wait half a year. But, or like you, if it's sort of Christmas, that goes from day one, and then the next day we have another thing, and then we have another thing. It gets too much, less is more for an introvert. And yeah, especially putting up healthy boundaries, maybe even being upfront and sharing sort of, you know what, I just need my alone time now. We had fun, it was a great thing, but I need my time now. I think it's really important. And one thing maybe for mothers who are listening or other family members, it's important to maybe see even signs in children or your family for people who might not know they are introverts, and especially give them space and allow them time to unwind. And don't plan too much over the weekends, and yeah, go with the flow, and just be aware that introverts need their peace and quiet, or something to do after a big gathering or party. Not everybody loves parties like extroverts. Don't take it personally. Just cater to everyone at their own needs. And yes, me too. I mean, I only know about for 10 years maybe about empaths and introverts. So if our parents were aware that it's okay to be different, maybe we wouldn't have had to learn this lesson the hard way. And I feel, I mean, I can't really say there is a study out there, but I would say that most empaths are also introverts. What do you say, Janet?
I would agree with that, actually, because I think there's a lot of crossover. And I think it is because, particularly as empaths, you feel so much of your environment. And so that's where you get the sensory overload. Because that's what I was going to sort of like thinking about whenever I'm like that, is you walk into a space, and if there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of energy, and that we feel that. And if there's things, a lot of emotions, there's a lot of, and I find, I have to say, once I started this journey and once I started learning about these things, is that protection. When I'm going out somewhere, it's almost like I psych myself up. And I imagine just before, even sometimes when I used to work and whatever, this bubble of protection. So it's like your aura is your protection field around you, like this big bubble. And the better that your energy and you're looking after yourself, the better that aura of protection will be. Is that when I feel into that and have that sort of feeling of that around me, I actually can go and be less impacted by everything that's going. It's like a barrier protecting. And that has helped me. Do you have any tips like that, Caroline, too?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe even taking time before for yourself, going out in nature, grounding yourself, yeah, protecting yourself and going out there. And like you said, sometimes we love being the observer, and that's perfect. We can sort of be on the corner of the whole event and just observe. I mean, good writers are observers, aren't they? So that's okay. We don't always have to talk to everyone out there, or we can just join a little group and just listen. I think sometimes we don't always have to participate. And it's, yeah, just stay in your own energy and know when enough is enough. it's okay to leave a party or an event, and yeah, do that. Look after yourself. I think self-care before, during, and after is essential.
Another tip that I found is that when I started to feel a little bit overwhelmed, emotional freedom technique, the tapping, I would just tap the side of my hand, and it helped, because you can do that discreetly, or one that you put your hand on your heart and just spend a little bit of breathing time, just to, even if that means you go to the toilet and you do that just to get yourself back into position, because sometimes you can't always leave, because if you've gone with somebody, you have to wait till they want to leave, which is challenging. So you have to have these little tools with coping mechanisms with you.
Yeah, or if there's sort of, sometimes it's like a garden area or something, so you can always take a little stroll and just breathe and connect within and clear your energy again and be more centered, and then you can enter. So give yourself those little
moments,
recharge time, oasis of your own time, or sometimes it's okay to hide 5 minutes on the toilet, if it's too much, because I think I'm affected by noise as well. And if it's too loud, sometimes I just retreat into a quiet room and just breathe and enjoy the quiet. And then after a while you can enter again, but then you're sort of like up to your game again and can start afresh.
But what's interesting when you said about, particularly as an introvert, you're seen as shy, but it's not always that shy that you don't want to be with people. It's just that whole environment being difficult. I mean, I've been at parties where I've sat off to the side, as you said, to observe and also be a little bit away from everything. And it's interesting, the people who then gravitate over, and then you can have that you end up having that one-to-one, but they're more than similar. And you can have and you meet somebody that to chat with, and you find that they're an interesting person or whatever. So even as an introvert, even if you go to these things and you do that, you probably will find that somebody who's feeling a little bit the same will come over, because they don't want to be with the crowd and they want to be apart, and then you're with somebody maybe that you'll enjoy talking to. So sometimes it's not all bad.
It is. And we're definitely not shy among the right people. And I think as empaths and introvert, we crave that heart to heart, soul to soul connections and talk, rather than just chit chat,
because we like the authentic.
Exactly. And that deeper meaning or connection.
I agree with you, because so much now you go and there's just, people are just so, I don't like to use the word fake and shallow, but it sort of feels like that. And you sort of go on, I like to talk to interesting people who have done interesting things, and you can see that they're passionate about what they do, and you feel that energy of they just are so interesting, and they love what they do and the stories they're telling, and you get drawn in, and that actually then something like that, I will find my energy will actually go up rather than being sucked down.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's so interesting. And we talked about empaths a couple of episodes before, and introverts, and it's all about maintaining your own energy and learning so much about yourself. And I think, accepting of who we are, because you and I, we both tried to be like everybody else because we felt something is wrong. So learning to accept yourself and realizing either you're an extrovert or you're an introvert, or introverts are extroverts, but just a shorter amount of time, just to make sure. And just accepting who you are is key. And then the understanding of, oh, there's nothing wrong. We don't have to change, or we don't have to like being among people for 10 hours. It's okay to sort of go in there and make the most out of it. And it's also okay to retreat and enjoy that solitude up in the mountains, in the woods, in your garden or your home. And otherwise it can be so draining of your energy. And of course, that self-talk is really not good when we always say, oh, you're not good enough, you're bad, something is wrong with you, you should be more, you should, So be loving, compassionate, and extra kind with yourself, and find your ways of being your own unique person.
Absolutely. And I think sort of in this day and age where there's so much fakeness around, that we really do appreciate when you meet someone who is very genuine and you feel that. And you have then that connection. And this is, as human beings, we're all one and our energies are connected. And we need that, even though we step away from it at times, but we still need to go out and be connected with, but you want the right energies. You want the right energies around you.
Yeah.
Because it really does make it a huge, huge difference. And I love what you said earlier as well, is about your home is your sanctuary. And I was thinking when I first moved back to the UK with all of the upsets of everything that was going on, and I was staying in a rental place that wasn't my home during lockdown, and how I didn't have a sanctuary, and how I was, like, as I said before, like a tree uprooted. And now we've got our home, we're now settled. I have my beautiful garden finally, because it was a pile of rubble before. And I now feel my energy, I have my sanctuary. And it does make a huge difference for introverts, empaths, to have that space somewhere you feel safe, that you can close the door and you can just
unwind and be. Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. So if you have any questions about introverts, or if you love to figure out whether you're more of an introvert or extrovert, reach out to Janet or myself, leave a comment. We're always happy to get back to you. And again, Janet has a gorgeous, gorgeous meditation on her website to just come back into sanctuary, into your inner peace, into more of who you are. So if you don't have a garden, you can download her wonderful meditation and create your own garden. Exactly. And I think next time we talk more about energies, because as an empath, introvert, inner peace, it's all about energy level, Nowadays, no one would let their phone die down. But so often we humans, we keep going, till our energy is really low. And
definitely that's an important one, because it's come up, and particularly even today, we've talked several times about energies. And I think it's really important that people understand that they're more than just the physical body, that there is this energy, very complex energy system going on. And we'll talk more about that next week.
Exactly.
And, we're here to help, or here to answer questions. So please reach out to us.
You are not your body. You are not your mind. You are not your feelings. You are your soul. We are so much more. And that all connects And yeah, speak to you next time about energies. I'm looking very much forward, Janet. And thank you all for being with us today.
Namaste.